Hey enablers, it's me, Mike Kunkle. Welcome to this week's edition of Sales Enablement Straight Talk. This week I want to talk about how you can radically improve your company's sales results with a sales management operating system. Let's dig in. We're going into detail about the sales management operating system today, but the operating system is embedded in the larger sales management system. So to get started, I want to point out a few of the other elements of the larger system just for context. For example, if you plan to optimize the impact of your sales managers, the first thing you must do is remove any barriers to these managers fully engaging with their teams. Look, it sounds crazy, but we put up barriers for these frontline managers all the time. These are the most overworked leaders in many companies. We throw more and more things at these managers that prevent them from actually diagnosing performance and fully engaging with their teams to get the best possible performance from them. If you stop and think about it, when we do this, we're in the sales prevention business. So start by giving some thought to what you're asking your frontline sales managers to do that has nothing to do with improving the performance of their team. And then systematically remove as many barriers as possible to allow them to fully engage. This is the first and most important thing that you can do. Next up is sales hiring. If your team isn't planning to hire much except for perhaps replacement attrition, this might not be as important in the beginning, but eventually you'll need to get a sales hiring system in place, and your managers must excel at navigating their parts of this process. This is important to get the right people in the right seats on the bus. And the last part of the larger sales management system that isn't part of the operating system is having your managers master all of the business sales and sales enablement technology that you employ. If your managers don't understand how to maximize your technology investment and how to help their team get the most out of it, you are wasting money on your sales stack. In some verticals, I still see far too many managers who don't really understand the tech or the tools, and many who barely crack open their laptop. This is not something that fosters adoption or maximizes your investment in technology or optimizes sales performance. Invest in your managers to ensure that they know how to use the tools and how to support their team in using them. With those elements cleared, let's dig into the sales management operating system. You see it here in the middle of the larger system. Don't worry about the details for now on this slide. We're going to step through it one piece at a time. Let's start with this first section, mastering sales process and sales methodology within your customer lifecycle. Far too many frontline sales managers still can't delineate the difference between process and methodology and don't pay attention to the larger customer life cycle of which they're a part. We need to fix this. Here is a consultative process example of a customer life cycle, including what happens pre-buying, during the buying process, and post-buying, when the buyer's journey includes selecting a product and implementing it. Now, as you know, there are other buyer journeys, including transactional and flow sales, where the buyer buys products, stocks them, uses or resells them, and restocks them. This is just an example. Then you see the sales process aligned to the buying process and life cycle. Processes all have stages, stage names, objectives per stage, tasks to be completed, and exit criteria, or what needs to be completed before you can move forward. This applies to the customer lifecycle and the embedded buying process and the sales process that supports them. Now, sales methodology is how the sellers are selling, including the buyer or client-facing selling tasks and what it takes to prepare for those. It includes the frameworks, models, and skills needed, also sometimes referred to as sales competencies. Methodology and process go together in supporting the entire customer lifecycle and the buying process. Sales managers must understand how process and methodology fit together and how they are supporting the customer and the buying journey. Without this, there's no way that they can manage opportunities or accounts as effectively as possible. Invest in your managers so they can understand and manage process and methodology within the customer lifecycle. Next in the operating system is the bucket of activities. Now, the ones you see here, again, are merely examples, and they may or may not apply to your business. They vary by company. You need to ensure that your managers are doing the right activities for your company and ensure best practices are in place and executed effectively for all the sales management activities. This includes the activities, the best practices, and the cadence at which these activities occur, all of which will vary. You need to figure out what they are for your company and get the cadence and best practices in place. The next piece of the operating system are the meetings that the manager will conduct. Again, what you see here are examples. You need to figure out what are the right meetings, the best practices for running them, and the recurring cadence that's appropriate. That cadence, by the way, may vary based on time of month or end of quarter, so consider that as well. The idea is to get a cadence and best practices in place for managers to conduct for recurring team and individual rep meetings as effectively as possible. A major piece of what these frontline managers should be doing to optimize their team's performance is coaching. And I use coaching as an overarching term to also include field training and feedback. Many managers fire off feedback to their sellers and believe they're coaching. Managers should be working within a framework where they diagnose reps' performance and where they can figure out how to best improve it, work with those reps to develop a plan to improve the performance, do field training or sales coaching or provide feedback as needed to support the rep, and then get them implementing the things that they have worked on. This needs to happen in an ongoing loop to create a cadence of coaching and continuous improvement. This is an example of the sales coaching system with the framework, process, and models that I teach. As you can see, there's a lot behind those simple boxes under sales coaching framework. I go into more detail on this in the written newsletter and will provide a link in the description for this video so you can dig into more detail on this if you'd like. And the last piece of the operating system is for managers to master their part in sales performance management. This is often confused with the more general performance management, which typically refers to periodic performance appraisals with feedback, goals, and objectives, and often employee development plans and career pathing. Sales performance management, however, while it includes that, is much broader. SPM is variable since it's meant almost as a catch-all bucket for what you haven't already included in other areas of the sales management system. This could include the activities section, team meetings, and the coaching framework, but also often includes the other things you see here: sales planning, account assignments and territory optimization, pricing, quota management, performance analytics, forecasting, deal desk management, sales incentives and compensation, gamification if you do that, the coverage model, and overall performance management. Much of this also falls under the bucket of sales or revenue operations and certainly includes the things that your sales managers must excel at. So that is an overview of all of the moving parts of the sales management operating system highlighted here, which, as we discussed in the beginning, is a major portion of this even larger sales management system. If you get an effective sales management system in place, especially with the cadence and activities and meetings and coaching of the sales management operating system, your frontline sales managers can operate in an aligned way at the highest possible levels of performance, which will, of course, improve the performance of their teams. This is how you can radically improve your Salesforce performance with a sales management operating system. Well, that's it for this week, enablers. I hope this has been helpful. Stay the course out there and make an impact with enablement.